without further ado, we go straight to chapter 5, Preparation for a Journey. بعد ذيكي وزيرو ديانا فراو مير تصميم جريفتن فيصل كدان كي مقابل مورم إني وفد مورا إني سفيري عزرايا وهنا قد أمير كابل مسئله جوابي خد زور دادنيا بريزو سفر كي هنا تياري گرفتنيا تيار شدنيا رفتنيا داستاني ازويا. This is the story of the journey that the vizier makes. What? 2 clean shirts and 2 pairs of white trousers? Nonsense, Gul Begum. Your father can't have said that. He must have meant that he wished the shirt he went away in to be a clean one, and another with him to change. No man could want 2 spare shirts. I would venture to say that your uncle would not take one. He'll not be more than a month away. He said, get 2 shirts ready for me to take with me, new ones if possible. I can ride in an old one, and I want 2 pairs of white trousers. Du safed tamban, du peran. I shall ride in a barak, but I want the others with me. It will be hot. And who is to make them? I shall like to know. And where is so much stuff to come from? The elder woman went on fretfully. زبيتا ما كنيا شيء خم كني ما دوي بيروي زافيس جاكنا مقدر بارشانيا. There's plenty in the store, enough for a dozen shirts, her daughter said. I'll cut them out now, and Dilbahar can set to work at once, and Shireen will help. And you too, my flower, she said, stooping down to fondle a child of about 9 years old, and who, from her resemblance to the speaker, would have been recognized anyway as her sister. Then where is Fatima? She can sew well, and mother, you can help. Why, it will be done, all done by tomorrow. That's it. Everybody will help. We'll get the shirts and trousers made that my father wants. I will not have 2 shirts cut out until I've seen your father myself. It's quite unheard of. I'm sure you've made a mistake, Gul Begum. اشتباني درو تصبر بابيت بايا باز مازو برسانم كي چندنا پرنده کار چندنا تنبان. I've made no mistake and I don't see why it should be unheard of. اشتباه نکدم گل بیگم مگه وی کدام نوگا با که یک نفر گفتم دو پرنده من دو جورا میخوایم. The old one for the road and 2 to change about when he gets to Kabul. It seems to me just what he ought to have. همی تو سینیه یک دنه کنار بوب شدرا دو دنه ردونجی کابل رسید. Oh yes, it would just suit you. Only you would travel in a new one and have the store cupboard left full too, as well as the saddle bags, and I suppose they would all be gold embroidered. We shall never get you married, girl. Why, the man does not live that could keep such a wife. The men don't seem to agree with you, mother. The girl retorted, smiling, a strange light in her eyes, a smile of pride and conscious power on her lips, a smile that seemed to say, there are so many. It is for me to choose, not they, and yet I choose none. I put them all aside. I will have none of them. The hero of my dreams has not appeared. He has yet to come forward. Where is he? And then the light and the smile slowly faded and gave way to a certain sadness that seemed to ask, will he come? Will he ever come? This ideal, this hero? Perhaps not. Probably never. And then what? قول بيجن فكرنا كي أجر ما خو تمامي بس كشاي أزرع رئيس قدام شيء صار ما بيشي خام نمشى إنالي أجر نامات وكمامي خايم باس كار مشى. See that my leggings have their ties well sewn on, her father said as he came in. Ola Hussain, Wazir Sahib, Takhana Darmaya, Mogamu Patlonaya Baramajurku. I saw a nice kind when I was in Kabul. I wonder if you could make me a pair like them. Instead of being a stripe of barak to wind round and round the legs like ours, these were cut to the shape of the leg and buttoned down the outer side. What new fangled notion is that? Asked his wife. A good notion, I think, he said quietly. Come, Gulbegum, see if you could manage a pair for me. The girl looked thoughtful. I could in leather, she said, but not in barak. The barak ma tajriba khosh nadrom. At least I think not. I think they would crease and rumple. It seems to me it would have to be something stiffer. And when it all this to be done, and who is to do it? Asked his wife. I leave the day after tomorrow. At dawn, and as to who is to do it, that's no affair of mine. I have a wife, 3 daughters, and a servant. That should be plenty. And Shireen will help too, I know. I dare say, but what about these new shirts and trousers? Who is to make them? There, that again is no affair of mine. I want them. You have to provide them. You should keep these things ready, made in case of emergency. Then when they were wanted, there would be no hurry and bustle. Yes, I dare say, for you to give to the first vagrant who chooses to call himself a mullah or a sayyid, I'm not quite as foolish as that. There, it is for you to choose. I don't lay down strict rules. I have no laws in my own house. You do as you choose. Of course, but if your plan gives you extra work, don't blame me. Gulbegum can make the leggings. The new shirts and trousers ought to be ready in the store. If they are not, arrange as best as you can. But see that they are ready at daybreak the day after tomorrow. Diga subah sari subiga mainar tayar da kar mein hai. There was nothing harsh in the way he spoke. Simply an absence of all affection. Just khayala. Sayya. Kudam meher muhabbat ilaqa nishan nahi midair. He gave his orders This woman was his life. He provided her with a good house, the most luxurious and plentiful supplies in the countryside. She had borne him 5 children, 2 sons and 3 daughters, of whom Gul Begum, then 15 years old, was the eldest, so he was fairly satisfied with her. زیاد چندان خوشم نداشت که خودشی بسیار مهر و محبت کنم. دیگه نمیگه خوش بود که چندان اولاد دادم مرا مام بریشی نان و غذایش برابرن. He did his duty by her in providing her with plenty of clothes and food, and he expected her to do her duty by him. Had she been sick, he would have secured the services of the best herbalist, the wasas, in the neighborhood for her and given her the best that his country afforded. If he required anything, he expected her to provide it. بس تمام چیز تیاره، هیچ چیز شکایت نیه. بس این که وقتی یک چیز فرمایش کنه باید او نگه دیگه. If he required anything, he expected her to provide it. It was fair enough. What else should a wife expect? دیگه چیز میخوای. As for his love for Gul Begum, that was a thing quite apart. محبت زو معلقه زو قد گل بیگم دیگه داستانه. He could have found many wives that would have suited him just as well as Halima. Women who would not have made just as good mothers for his children and have kept his house just as well, better perhaps. But with his daughter it was altogether different. There was only one Gul Begum. All Hazara could not have produced another. She was head and shoulders taller than the tallest woman in the country. She was twice as strong and active, twice as quick at her work. And as to intelligence, they were all fools when they tried to measure their wits against her. ای کارگری رسایی کو، ای زکاوت و هوشیاری رسایی کو که کلهم هر کس که باید پیش رویشی احمق معلوم شدن. اینی گل بیگم. What was to be done with this girl? چی کنیم آینده‌ی دختر چی خواهد شد؟ His beloved, خزانه‌اش, his treasure. Of course he would have to give her to a husband someday. یک روز خانه‌اش رو موری. That was unavoidable. It was one of the customs of his nation, a custom that could not be broken under any circumstances. But must he part with her? ایخو رسم است که یک روز دختر در شوی مور خانه شوی موره. مگری چی رقم از جدا شدم ما. He thought not sometimes, for he could find some fairly intelligent boy, the son of poor parents. فکر نمگه یگو دنامیتر خوب بچه باشه از خانواری فقیر. For he could find some fairly intelligent boy, the son of poor parents, to whom he would give her on condition that he gave up his own home and came and lived in hers. In that way, he could keep his daughter with him without going against the traditions of his tribe. ام رسم در جای خمان ام گل بیگم دخانه ممنه. اینی داماد میرن دخانه. But sometimes he formed more ambitious schemes. يقول ممكن نا هي رقم نمشى. And this evening, on the eve of his departure for Kabul, it was these plans that were taking up his attention. برنامج كل شيء جردي كشرقم عندي قول بيقوم شرقم مشى. The governor of Bamiyan had a son. حال فكري governor Bamiyan رفته كي بوم يخوب بچه A boy of 16. شو ذا سالية يك سال كتاية از قول بيقوم. He was of the Afghan blood, royal. Could he not, by allying her to this family, secure certain advantages? اگر یه دبزی خانواده میری بامیان دهونجی اگر موی چیز کنیم دختر بیدیم امکان داره که بسیار فایده داشته باشه not only for his family but for his whole nation برای کل قوم و ملت فایده خواهد بود. He could have give her a dowry, a very handsome dowry, quite sufficient to tempt the governor. But would he by this means secure what he wanted? He must make sure of that. It would never do for him to give her up and then find that the sacrifices had been all to no purpose. اگر ایت نشد باز من دختر بیدم باز وی کارایت نشد نه. For he had yet another scheme. The son of the Amir of Kabul was just 16 too. And he thought he would be more likely to secure his object by making an alliance there. چیکار قد از نایگ اتحاد نکنیم بین خورشتا کنیم که جنگ منگ پرده فساد نشنه دیگه. The difficulty in that case was that what he could offer as a dowry would be no great inducement to the son of a man who could command the best and handsome of many nations, who could plan an alliance with Turkey or with Egypt. ونا قضی رزگک جیز از ما شاید بقدر خوش نشنه دیگه. یا اگر فکر از ناسته که ونا میتونه مثلا بیرون از مرزا اونجی رشته داری کنه. That certainly was rather ambitious. خیلی پلانای بلند داره جناب وزیر صاحب. But was it too ambitious? خیلی بلند بودی. It might suit him well, and now was the time to suggest it. A diplomatic marriage had often been made when two nations were on the eve of war. خیلی داستانه شده که دو قوم بینشون میخواسته بده بزنه موشاوشاو یک بندوبست شده یک نکاح بسته شده بین دو نفر و قصه قوی. یه میگم ما میتونه یک برنامه کنیم چطوره. Why should not such a marriage stop war at the present crisis? یه عالم خود جنگ شده نیست مو چرا می کار قصه پیش نبریم. And then a wild plan came into his mind. The Amir wanted to unite the land of the Hazaras with Afghanistan. درست؟ این برنامه امیر کابوله که هزاره لندز را مثل بلوچستان join دلجی کنن در main Afghanistan. Here was his chance. No Hazara, unless perhaps Sayyid Mir Hassan had Ghulam Hussein's diplomatic skill. Could he not be, by this alliance, unite those two countries who so queenly as Gul Begum? As Gul Begum kalan masalan Begum mekhai to ya Malika da kartiya. Why should not she be queen? Queen of the whole Hazara tribe. Who had a better right? Few knew, except Ghulam Hussain himself, that he was the richest man in all Ghor, that he was the most able. None would have thought of disputing. مردمم خیلی قبول داره ثروتم داره. What easier than that to make himself chief? But he need not even do that, for he need not reveal his designs till the last moment. If, as he suspected, the Amir meant to amalgamate the two countries, he would do it coup d'etat. Coup. It's a French thing, I may be pronouncing it wrongly. मतलब यानी हमू चीज़ कि माँ मिदुम मतलब जवाब शी एक चीज़ दो बराबर से मैं खाएं दो बराबरी. What were the lives of a few hundred soldiers to him? He would not hesitate to declare war, and if war were made, there was but one result possible. وأگر جنگ شد, there is one result. the Hazaras would be massacred and carried off into slavery, and their country would be confiscated. The only conceivable plan for saving his people was this alliance. कि باید دختر بدیم و با هم شونیم و یک کشور جور کنیم، شراکت داری کنیم. With the clear understanding, of course, that Gul Begum's son should succeed as Sultan of the Hazaras. که بعد از او که از اولاد شد از هر دو، باز او شاهزاده باید سلطان هزاره باشه. دواری. علی شما سلطان باشین، شما میر کابل باشین، افغانستان و هزارستان یک میشه. This must be made quite clear. That was in fact essential, or the Hazaras would no longer be an independent people. Azadi Khazist media, and what could be easier or more suitable. دیگه از این که در کار آسان که مغول بیگم را می رشتهش رقت امیر کابل کنیم که می نشن همی فتنس شروع نشنه. The only difficulty lay in the fact that he was not the chief. مسئله یه که او میر نیه نه، او خو وزیره. میر خو نه دیگه شیه. And had no business to place his daughter on the throne. او از کجا آمد که دختر از مرد تو با مثلا بولو کوین جور کو. او از میر صاحب موشه نه. No, he had no right, but what of right? یعنی چی؟ Had the Amir any right to intrigue to take a free country? امی صحیح مثلا که ما صحیح و غلط گپ بیزنی که ما حق دارم مثلا گل بیگم را که دزی داستان شامل کنم یا نکنم چون که ما امیر نیم فقط وزیرم. بس یہ امیر کابل کی مثلا یہ حق داده که تو بور یک دنا کشور آزاد تصاحب کو بھی ازمایا. Certainly he had none, but Ghulam Hussain had some right. He was himself a Hazara, the grandson of a Hazara chief, and furthermore, his marrying his daughter to a Kabul prince on condition that her son should succeed to the Sultanate would save many lives. Perhaps the freedom of the whole country. It was all quite justifiable. कि हमें एक सही नहीं है कि मसलन मानोज अगर मेरी आज़रा नहीं है मैं बोरूं बगुम की बखातिर ज़ी कि ना जंग ना करन मुल्क आज़रा व अफ़गानिस्तान ये गोरा खम एक जायश ना लेकिन द सूरती मस्बत व द सूरत ने तर एक निकाह या थोड़ी दबाई ने दूध न मर्दम वही मैं खाया कि ये भाषा गुल बेगम व अगर मैं तना कि दो मर्दम राज जंग निकाह करना व برزو ایمه خواهی که امی چیز را دلیل بیدیا و خود قرقانه کنه که این میکار سه کاره. But suppose Gul Begum had no children. بس فکر نموگه اگر وی اولاد نکد باز. A distinct difficulty came in there. What, however, was the use of meeting troubles halfway and of taking such an unfortunate contingency into account? Of course she could have children. مگه چی گواهی تو آیندر فکر نیال فعلا خب موشه انشالله یک اولاد ضرور موشه. Of course she would have children. Gul Begum, young, healthy, active, supple. Why? Of course she would. That possibility need not be taken into consideration at all. And so, having settled all this in his mind, he went off to arrange about his ponies for the journey. He would take a servant too, and a pack pony. He would not go as a beggar, but as a chief. A chief about to make a political alliance. एक सियासी इत्तेहाद में खाया बरेज़ू बोरा वो बायद मिसली एक दना chief वरी बोरा मिसली एक मीर वरी बोरा. And he was bound to own more powerful chief. And his wife, she had begrudged him a change of clothes had thought his old ones good enough to go to Kabul in. A fine idea that when he was going to make such an arrangement as would make her the grandmother of the future sultan. Baba. Mami khaim bor mira aje sultani aindi azra jor kono mi mara me khalai na udana mitna. Ay khak demena. And he smiled to himself as he passed from one pony to another and had their blankers removed so that he might inspect their backs. Julaznar pasna ki sai kona ki and with such thoughts as these, he started at daybreak the following day. But one, he was wearing the barak leggings Gul Begum had made him. The leather ones were among his clothes on the pack animal, where also there were the new garments he had required. For 2 nights, no member of his family had gone to bed. As du shaw kas khawna ke baba du jora me khaya perani nau tombani nau bazi patluni barakam da kar sheu charmisham me khaya du se shaw khulasa kas khawishto neshta khatun jam khunjigar ke da ki chi zarurat chi mokhni بار آخرش جور کرده تحویل چه منو ای اسباب را سورا منا برش دیگه خوش سورا مشه قد خادم روانه مشه که مثل یک تمطراقی یک میروری بورد طرفی امیر کابل و یک محاذی جنگ را به یک اتحادی سیاسی تبدیل کنه که این پلان مردم را از جنگ و فساد و فتنه که آمدنی بود از اون نگاه کنه. Any budatai nosago, teenager, young boys and girls, wherever in the Hazara communities around the world you may be and hearing the stories, chapter 5 has been narrated to you. It was a journey preparation, not a lot of events happening, but it's the preparation and also the explanation, the relationship of Ghulam Hussain, the Vizier of the Hazara lands, Hazara tribes, towards his daughter who, the Gul Begum, as you can see here, strong, tall, intelligent, and his father is thinking of a better, suitable marriage. And this time it's a diplomatic marriage that he's thinking to offer to Amir of Kabul. And this is the Hazara Pioneers Library. We are bringing live to you the first story that is part of our cultural legacy, historical legacy, mirasi farhangi, ghairi qabil lams. That's why we have to bring live our own breath and soul and spirit and attention to be given to the story that was published in 1900 by LILLIAS Hamilton, the court physician in the Amir Abdurrahman's time. She can't really explain what is going on in that time of Afghanistan, but through the story of a vizier's daughter, she depicts a story, a background story that is shared by all the Hazaras. The Bakul Hazaras who remember this kind of stories more, but the Nosago, I think you need a little bit long-term memory, and I hope these kind of stories will give you that. Catch up with you in the next one, chapter 6 soon.